Hey guys, good morning, everybody. Today's Tuesday, June 6th. It is 6:22 right now. Market's going to open in about 8 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and set up this room real quick and we'll get started shortly with our analysis for today. So I've got a couple of things here to update and we should be good to go. Looks good. Looks good for the most part. A few more things here. And it looks like we are good to go. All right, let me get this link sent out to you guys here in the premium. All right, looks like people are making their way in. All right, guys, morning, everybody. Looks like people are starting to make their way in. So, all right, guys, morning, everybody. Today's Tuesday, June 6th. It is 6:25 right now. Market's going to open in about 5 minutes. I'm going to start off by marking up liquidity because that's typically what we run short on. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to start marking up liquidity as a daily time frame. I'm going to mark up this level right here. Daily lick. Just so that we know which level that is. All right, mark these up right here. Also pretty quick. Right there. This is 8-hour lit. There, right there. The 8-hour too. Four-hour. Let's mark that up. This is the 4-hour liquidity. Also with 4-hour. 2-hour. I think that's with the 2-hour. 1-hour. I'm still pending, so I'm not going to mark that up yet. All right, let's see. So as you guys can see, it's pretty easy to mark liquidity. It just gets a little difficult when I start to label them because there's just so many things to label. But this makes things easier for, I mean, pretty much everyone. So I'm just going to do it anyways. It's not really necessary, but it's good to know what levels of liquidity may be stronger than others, of course. Couple more over here. And I think that's it with the 30-minute, 15-minute right here. The 15 minutes probably going to get hit already. I can already see it's like right at it. So if it gets hit, and that's useful, but I'm going to mark them up anyways. Then last is the 10-minute over here. As you guys can see, the market is starting to get real tighter, right? The volatility is starting to die down as we enter summer. This is normal. And we have liquidity marked up there. Okay, so the 15-minute liquidity here got hit already. I'm not gonna identify it with that one. But we'll see if price, ends up coming down right here, or if it ends up pushing up higher to retest that top liquidity. It's another area of liquidity that might be up there. I guess we could revisit this one. So we'll see what happens. I mean, you guys can see how small the market's moving. It's not really moving too much. So if I do go for liquidity, I'm probably only going to go for 100 pips, guys, because the way the price is moving right here, it's not necessarily moving too smooth. The market's going to open in about 10 seconds, guys. But you guys can see how the market's moving very slow. So we'll see. I'm probably only going to go for 100 pips because there's just not enough volatility here to really catch any type of move. So market is now open. See where this ends up going. Just be careful because you guys can see there's no direction. Price is literally going sideways right now. I don't know if there's a bias right now either. See if that bottom liquidity gets hit. Didn't get hit. You guys got to be really patient for it to get hit. Confirm that it actually breaks through. Since I'm only going for 100 pips, I'll probably let it break through a little bit before I make entry. You guys can see how this thing is just bouncing back and forth right now, where it's currently at. No clear direction. It's getting close to these areas, but not actually touching them. It's not, the price is barely moving right now. Surprisingly, I thought it'd be moving a little more. Especially on open. All right, still watching. Neither level's been hit yet. I mean, this top level's already been hit, so we might not be able to use that one. We have to wait for the next level. But look how price is currently moving right now. It's just going back and forth. Hasn't really pushed in like any direction. So if I'm going to enter, I'm probably going to enter late. I'm probably not going to enter right away as soon as it touches. I might look for it to retest and then hop in for like just 100 pips. I mean, I could get in right here for 100 pips real quick. Let me see. Look for it to retest it. I didn't get into it yet. I missed the drop right there. It's watching as it comes back down. Where is it at? The candles look different on my chart. I don't know if they look different on your guys's, but I didn't get into the position yet. I was waiting for it to come back to the retest of the area. But for some reason, the candles look a lot different on my MT4 versus, well, they look the same, but they look different on the chart. Okay, so I got into that position right there when it came back down, but it gave me a lot of slippage, guys. I don't know if anybody caught it. It only gave me 1,000. Also, let's make 2,000 on that trade. So I only went in for 100 pips right here, guys. It's probably going to go to full TP, but I got a lot of slippage. I don't know if anybody got the same thing. Yeah, it looks like everybody got slippage. Maddie said he doesn't like this, hit his TP, didn't give him the green strip, slippage. Eunice also slippage, Kenneth slippage. Sadyam said he got it, a lot of slippage. So it looks like everybody who got it, there is like, I mean, quite a bit of slippage here. Supposed to make 2,000 on the trade, only made 1,120. My FTM only gave me 410. So this market, as you guys can see, is a crazy market right now. It's like not very much volatility and then random spikes. The trade's still technically running right now, but as I mentioned, I was only going for 100 pips, so that's all I took. But you guys can see the liquidity here got hit. This liquidity up here already got hit, so I wasn't necessarily going to use it. I was just marking it up to see if it would hit that area, but I wasn't necessarily taking it. So for this right here, I took this as price came down. I did warn you guys, I said the market was going to move kind of crazy, so I waited for it to pull back. As it pulled back, retraced, came back down. That's where I made the entry on this second candle right here. So I didn't get in right away. I waited for it. And then as soon as price came down, it was just sitting there. But for whatever reason, I still got slippage. Like it still filled me at a bad price for whatever reason. I thought that candles were different, but I think it was just slippage. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's all good. I'll take whatever I can get from here. But you guys can see, this is welcome to the summer market. If you guys have not traded summer, this is summer. See how this goes sideways for like forever, and then you just get these random spikes. That's a summer market. So if you guys have traded with me in the summer before, this is nothing new. It's just, this is how the market moves once you get into the seasons. It's not officially summer yet, but you know, we're in June, so the market is starting to kind of move irregular. This isn't even that bad. If you guys look at Forex pairs, like I was trying to trade AUD USD yesterday. If you guys look at AUD USD yesterday, for the entire day, it moved like 4 pips. Isn't that crazy? It didn't move at all for the entire day. And AUD USD is a major pair, so you expect it to move. But this was like for the entire day of Monday, from like 7 o'clock up until midnight, for like 24 hours, or not, maybe like, you know, 15 hours or so. It literally just went sideways 14 pips for the entire US session, which is crazy for a Forex pair, but that's normal for summer conditions. So, all right, guys, back to the charts over here. There's nothing for us to take right now at the moment. We're still looking over here. If you guys have profits, feel free to post them up. I'm going to go and take a screenshot of my profits as well. Let's see, so I'm up. That's whatever. Profit's profit. Like I'm not going to be too bummed out about hitting like half profit. I already know it's going to be a half profit on MFF, but for my FTMO, I did get some slippage. I got good. It's weird. I got good slippage on my second FTMO, but on my first one, I got bad slippage, which is all good. It happens. So here are my profits. As you can see, first account made 1,120. Second account 1,520. My MFFs all gave me 410. So basically half profit across all the accounts. MFF gave me even less than half profit, and my FTMO number 2 gave me some slippage in my favor, 1,520. So it's all good. A win's a win. And we'll continue watching for any more entries here. So let me see who's here so far and gets to take a look at the chat. Morning Essa, morning Karen, morning CJ, morning Johnny, morning Hussein, morning Andrew, morning Rick, morning Van Hartwig, morning Jonathan, morning Sarah, morning Maria, morning Kenny, morning guys. So it looks like, yeah, all you guys are pretty much here so far. Nice. Craig said he caught the drop as well. Nice work, Craig. Hey, Shannon, morning. All right, so just a reminder, guys, I've been getting a lot of feedback in the chat regarding the live sessions. So we're going to make sure that we keep these live sessions just the trading, right? If you guys want examples, just save those questions for the mentoring session. I know typically during the session, I'll ask if anybody has any questions, but from now on, let's just stick to like analyzing the charts, because a lot of people are getting distracted when I'm answering other questions and when I'm going off the chart. So just a heads up, I don't want you guys to think that I'm ignoring your questions. I just want to let you guys know that we're going to be focusing mainly on analyzing the charts and looking for entries here during these live sessions. So, all right, this trade is still technically running, guys. I mean, I'm out of the position, but the actual trade is still technically running. You can see the volatility here is very low. Typically, we would hit TP by now, but at the moment, it's just going back and forth. So I already hit my TP, my 100 pips, and I'm now going to just sit around and wait for the next entry to come along. So looking at this right here, guys, as I mentioned, we're going to look for entries. So at this point right here, we currently have a possible high level momentum scalp coming up right here. But as I mentioned in the past, I don't take high level momentum scalps unless it's a direct push. You can see that price right here is going sideways. So this is not a direct push. Price is going sideways right here. It's consolidating. So if it's consolidating like this, it's not a clean entry for me to take. So if I do get a buy signal here that breaks and closes past pivots 1 and 2, I'm not going to take the trade, just the FYI. So zoom out a little bit. Mark up opening price, which is right there. Bring that forward. New York open price that you guys can see. All right, so as you guys can see, price is having trouble getting past its range down below. So we are going to see if anything here plays out. If I see any other types of entries, I'll identify them. But for now, again, our only official entries are going to be high-low momentum scalps and liquidity push. Liquidity push is still running in profit. I'm not going to hop back into it. There's no point in double dipping. If you guys ever get into a position and you get out in profit, never double dip, right? Just make sure that you guys don't get greedy and double dip into the position, because sometimes it'll work in your favor. A lot of times it won't. So just be, just be patient and wait for the next entry to appear. So we marked up opening price right there. Let me check the news calendar real quick. I don't think there's any news for today, Tuesday, June 6th. We have, okay, so there's just tentative news here, but nothing official. Let me check my FX book real quick. All right, my FX book for today, we had red book at 5:55, logistics at 2 a.m. I'm gonna mark those up. So 2 a.m., 5:55. I'm gonna find that real quick. So 2 a.m. we had a news event that I've never seen before. Let me check that real quick. I've never seen MLI Logistic Managers Index, so it's low impact, not a big deal. And then there's one over here at 5:55 red book. I've seen red book before. 5:55 red book. Where is it at? It's this little candle right here. All right, so it looks like a liquidity push at full TP right there. So if you guys held it to full TP, perfect right there. I'm going to go ahead and take a screenshot of that. I'm just going to go post the post here so you guys know what trade we took this morning. If you guys are wondering, how everybody made profits. So if you guys have profits to post, feel free to send them in. I'm going to take a screenshot of my profits as well. This is the liquidity push. Let me just take a look real quick. I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. There's no other news events. 7 o'clock. Okay, we have BIDD, TIPP, optimistic, wherever it is. Let me check again real quick. IBD, TIPP, economic optimism. It's medium impact. So 7 o'clock, we'll be looking out for that. And I hate when you go into a new month and then this thing gets all screwed up. The time. Every time I pull up US30, I have to refresh it. All right, news right there at 7 o'clock. Got that marked up. Anything else? Stock change at 1:30. It's fine. It's not going to be during our live session time. So that's all the news for today. Still no entries here at the moment. I'm going to adjust this real quick. So that's the low area right there. There's a high-low momentum scalp that's coming up right here, guys, but this candle is way too big. I'm definitely not going to take that trade, even if it does close. Yeah, that candle's huge. So as you guys can see, we get a lot of crazy movement here during the summer. We get a lot of slow movement, and then all of a sudden we get a lot of these random spikes. So just be careful when you guys are trading during the summer, because what will happen a lot of times is you'll be holding a position for a very long time, longer than you're used to. And then it'll either spike to your TP or your stop loss. So just make sure that you're looking for quality entries and you're not just taking every single entry. So this candle broke and closed past pivots 1 and 2 with no buy signal. So there's no entry there for a high-low momentum scalp. There needed to be a buy signal there. Even if there was, I wouldn't take it because the candle's way too big. All right, so we got nothing here right now. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, let's take a look at the overall bias first. I'm going to take a look at the overall bias, and then I'm going to take a screenshot of all my profits. So let's start off with a technical, and this is what I'm going to do too, because this is one thing that Martha mentioned yesterday that she gets confused with, identifying overall bias. I'll put up today's overall bias, right? So let's see. We'll start off with retail sentiment, fundamentals, long-term technicals. Now I'm just trying to make things as easy as possible for you guys, right? Like if you guys have issues or there's something that you need help with, just let me know and I'll figure out a way to help you guys out. I'm going to put up the overall bias here so that you guys can see what the overall bias is. You don't have to think about it because I know a lot of you guys have trouble identifying what the overall bias is. Okay. So retail sentiment, let's go over here and take a look at that first. Retail sentiment is currently 54% short. This indicates that 54% of retail traders are currently selling. So you typically want to do the opposite and buy. However, it's not very short, right? Right now, it's currently only 54%. You typically want it to be 60 to 65% or more so that you can trade opposite of everybody else. It's kind of neutral right now because it's right down the middle. So we'll do 54% short, neutral. So right now it's neutral. Let's take a look at the fundamentals next, right? Fundamentals over here are currently 38, it's down 38 points, right? So this is going to be neutral too. In order for it to be neutral or bullish, it needs to be above or below 100 points. So again, right here, fundamentals are also neutral. So it doesn't look like there's much of a bias here. Let's take a look at the trend now. So long-term trend, the 30-minute here is bearish, 1 hour is neutral, and 4 hours neutral. So long-term bias or long-term technicals are also neutral. So right now there's like literally no bias at the moment. And then lastly, the short term over here, you can see that it's right in between the pivots, right between the pivots, right between the pivots, also neutral. So there's like literally no bias right now at all. There's no retail sentiment bias, there's no fundamental bias, there's no technical bias, there's nothing. So no bias right now at all. I'll try to keep this up every day so that you guys have an idea. So like typically if it's all bearish, probably look for some sells. If it's all bullish, look for some buys. And that's just, I'm trying to make things as simple as possible so that you guys don't make any mistakes in the charts when analyzing your entries. Whenever you guys trade, you always want to have some sort of bias, whether it be a buy or a sell. When it's neutral like this, you don't really have any direction to trade in. So at this moment, it's probably best to just sit tight and then look for these high level momentum scalps when they do come up. But it's fine when the market's neutral like this, then you can look for high level momentum scalps. You could also look for SR rejections, and that'll help with taking sideways trades. So we'll take a look at those trades too if there's nothing here for high level momentum scalps. But we're probably just going to keep looking for any other types of entries. There was another liquidity push right here. I don't know if anybody caught the one down below. This was 4 hour liquidity. Looks like it already hit TP, I think. I don't know if you even hit TP, but you guys can see the market's moving kind of messy right now. So we'll just leave this alone. I think if it retests right here, it'll probably hit, but I'm not gonna risk it. It's too risky. I'll follow it. So we'll see. When the market's moving like this, like sideways, and it's ranging super heavily like this, like a lot of fake outs, it'll usually fake out initially, and when it comes back for their second retest, it'll probably push through in the direction. So we'll see. If it comes down, I'm probably not going to take it, but I'll follow it and see. Question from Hussein. Hussein's asking, did you take the bias into account for liquidity push short entry today? No, I didn't, because there's no bias, Hussein. If I took it into consideration, there'd be no consideration because there was no bias. So I couldn't take it into consideration at all since there wasn't one. If there was a bias, yeah, I would have taken it into consideration, but there wasn't. It's neutral. So I can't really use that to my advantage. If it's neutral, price can go either direction. So you can, that's why for today, if you saw this morning, Hussein, I had liquidity on both sides that I was looking for because there was no bias. If there's a bias, I'll typically look in that direction, but for today, there wasn't. All right, so back to this chart over here. There's nothing else for us to look at, I think. I already looked at the overall bias. I looked at the news. There's nothing for us to pull up. So at the moment, since there's nothing for us to take right now, I'm going to go ahead and take a screenshot of my profits. If you guys have profits to post up, feel free to send them in, and then we will review everyone's profits for the day. But pretty solid start for today. I mean, obviously could have been better, but I'll take my profits and we will look for that next trade. Yeah, so there's no bias right now. Well, since there's no bias, you can't really look for any V1 variations. You can look for the V1 patterns, but not necessarily any actual official entries using that strategy, because the first criteria for that strategy is to confirm the overall bias, right? Since there's no overall bias, you kind of just got to play by ear. If you guys do want to take certain trades in certain directions, you guys can, but for the most part, you know, they're not going to be available right now. Maddie said, why I'm giving us a warm welcome to the summer market with some BS slippage. I know, right? It's literally what's happening. But it's all good. Yeah, that slippage this morning was crazy. It was tripping me out because I was watching my MT4 and it was like negative 800, but I was like deep in profit. So I was like, what's going on? I don't know if the spread might have been super wide. That might have been the thing, but I can't really say for sure. But I was watching my MC4 and I was like in profit, but it still showed negative. So I was like confused. Why was I negative? I thought the charts were just different, but I mean, who knows? Guess we'll never know unless we have somebody on the inside telling us, you know, what's what. All right, so I actually got the green strip on mine. Now looking at my profits. So here's my main account. Here's my FTMO number 1. You can see the green strip, hit my full TP. I made 1,120. I was supposed to make 2,000, but the slippage like triggered my TP and then it pulled back. So you can see the timestamp right here, took that right on open. Total profit of 1,120 on my main account. Here is my FTMO number 2 account, total profit of 1,520. No green strip here, so you know this is my second account. And then here is my MFS. First one, 410. Second one, 410. And my third one, 410 right here. So pretty decent profit for that trade. I mean, could have been better, of course, but it's all good. Not really a huge deal there. Let's see, we've got Kenny over here, total profit of 970 for the day, all wins. Nice work right there, Kenny. Took the liquidity push and the follow-up. We've got William over here. William locked in a total profit of, let's see, about 200 for the day. Nice work, William. Took the liquidity push right there. Solid profits. We got Kenny over here, 970. What else we got over here? We have Maria over here. Or sorry, Maria didn't post it. Kenny over here, 970. Kenny right there. We got Maddie. Maddie locked in a total profit of 505 on his first account. That's the liquidity push he took there. His second account, total profit of 860. Total profit of 1,860 on his first account. Total profit of 1,005 on his second one. So nice work right there, Maddie. We got SO here, total profit of 139 on his first account and total profit of 1,850 on his second account. Nice work, SO. So I think that's it for now. If you guys have more profits to post up, feel free to send them in. Otherwise, we will continue looking for any possible entries here. Yeah, I think that's it. Maddie, I just saw your message. Or no, Sisu. Yeah, I just saw your guys' message over there. Andrew said, yeah, I thought I hit my TP, but it was in negative. Yeah, it was weird, right, Andrew? I saw that too. It was tripping me out. And it just kept like pushing past my TP. That's why Maddie pulled out early. I don't know, it was weird. Because usually if it's pushing past your TP like that, you're like, you should be having like at least some profit, right? It just, I guess the spread was super wide and there's also slippage. So it's all good. It is what it is. Hussein's asking, are we going to use the liquidity push in the summer as well? Yeah, I mean, we're going to use it until it's like not as effective. I'm pretty sure it'll still be effective. You know, as long as the market's moving, liquidity is still going to be there. And it's not like liquidity goes anywhere. Like people's stop losses are going to be placed in certain areas, but the liquidity now is going to be a little different because now that we have a choppy market like this, you're going to have more high lows, right? So if you look over here, there's so many high lows on the chart, right? If you look back, like, you know, days back or months back, there wasn't so many high lows. They're like kind of spread out. but now they're like coming up very often. So we're going to keep using the strategies for as effective as they remain. I think the liquidity push will remain effective. It's just you might have to go for a smaller TP, right? We might not be going for the 300 pips anymore because the volatility is so low. Like for example, the trade from today, that trade took forever, right? Like this trade took, how long did it take? Usually the liquidity push happens within like the first two candles. This one took about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about like 10 minutes. That's a long time for liquidity push to be running for only 100 pips. 100 pips is, or 300 pips. So it's still going to work. It's just we have to adjust the TP stop loss. That's really what it's going to have to be, because it's going to work regardless. There's always going to be people like that are going to get stopped out. You know, people aren't going to get are not going to stop getting stopped out just because it's summer. Actually, more people are probably going to get stopped out during the summer because more people who are trading don't really know what they're doing. So just, you know, keep that in mind. Yeah, Maddie said liquidity might just be going for 10 now. Yeah, and I agree with you too, Maddie. So if you guys don't understand like the logic behind why summer is slow, it's because a lot of market makers and institutions go on vacation for summer. So like there's not very much volatility. The market's typically filled with a lot of retail traders who don't know what they're doing. So that's actually a good thing for us, because if they don't know what they're doing and we're doing the opposite of everybody, then it's going to be easier for us to like trigger those stop losses. Not our stop losses, but their stop losses. However, then again, you know, you're gonna have a lot of people on both sides. It's not gonna be one-sided. The main thing with like the summer market is that you're not gonna have a smooth move. It's not gonna be very directional, right? It's not gonna be going down heavily or going up heavily. You're gonna get a lot of you're gonna get a lot of this. You're gonna get a lot of this back and forth, breakout, pull back and forth, breakout, back and forth. Like you're going to get stuff like that because there's a lot of retail traders in the market who don't know what they're doing. So they're pushing price back and forth. You know, it takes a lot of retail traders to actually push the market. And that's why the market's moving so slow right here. Like if the market makers and institutions are pushing market, this thing would be down like 1,000 pips already. Market open right here. Where'd market open right here? Measure this. Price has barely moved like 300 pips since open. Like it hasn't moved at all. So that's basically, you know, an indication that the big players are not on the market right now. Because on open, market should be pushed at least 500 pips, right? If you guys have seen the market in the past, it pushes at least 500 to 1,000 pips. If it pushes slower, that just means that there's no big players really pushing market around, because it's just going to sit around the middle pretty much all day. And you can see right here, that's exactly what's happening. But the thing is, like, summer market's actually been good for us. If you guys have seen our trades like in the summer, we've actually been doing pretty good in the summer because we're not like, we have the discipline to like just wait for the proper entries, versus a lot of like traders who don't know what they're doing. They just hop into any trade. Like for example, right here, if you were trading this right here, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be looking to take sells, right? A basic analysis of the market is that price right now currently on the 1 minute is bearish. So where do you think people are going to be entering from? You're going to see a lot of people enter from whenever price retraces, right? They're going to wait for price to retrace and then enter here and they look for another sell. So for us, we're looking for price to actually break out of here and stop them out. So just a lot of like, there's a lot of different types of analysis that we can put into the market, but we'll see, you know, we'll take what we can get. But I think liquidity pushes are still going to be valid all throughout the year, because people are still going to be stop losses sitting around. Yeah, exactly. Maddie said we can take advantage of that. Lots of touch, pullback, and retest. So that's why this strategy over here works well. The SR rejection scalp, because that's pretty much what we're looking for. We're looking for price to touch, pull back, and then retest. Like looking at this right now, looks like there might have been, no, not really. There's no entries yet. I'll just mark up the lower zones here, just in case we have something that comes up. But at the moment, there's just nothing for us to take right now. All right, guys, I'm gonna step away for like 1 minute, guys. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grab some water. All right, guys, I'm back. Looks like nothing's happened. I mean, prices. There's news price right here. Some of the market news for the IBD TTP. Let's see what it was. It's IBD TIPP economic optimism. Medium impact news right here. It's not really affecting anything though, but I will mark up the news event so that we're aware. But other than that, there's not really anything going on here. Price is pushing through, sort of. All right, so we had this green candle right here breaking close past the pivots 1 and 2. It wasn't a buy signal, so no entry there for a high level momentum scalp. If it did close with a buy signal, it would be a high level momentum scalp entry, but it didn't. So no entry there. See a question from Hussein. He's asking how many months summer period lasts. Let's see. So we're in June right now. June, July, August. So like about 3 to 4 months, 3.5 months, Hussein. Or more like 3 months, because it's like half of June and then half of September. So once we get into October, it's like full swing back into fall. So about 3.5 months, not very long. Yeah, it's not that long, and during the summer, the market actually like it's a lot easier to catch. I think the summer market is usually like the best market for people to start trading before. I mean, you're not a new trader, but it's good for like a lot of new traders because the market's a lot slower, and it kind of makes it a little more difficult because you're not going to have as many entries, so it's harder to identify proper entries, but it's slower, so it helps people like catch entries, but you got to be really patient because I see a lot of people make mistakes in the summer. They just get too impatient. And then they just get into bad trades. But I mean, it's easier to follow because the market's moving so slow. Like for example, right here, you guys can see these high level momentum scalps. The candles aren't like spiking super quickly. So it's easy to like identify a lower low, identify a buy signal, and then look for that entry. And then same with like, a higher high looking for a sell signal. It's super simple because these candles are very slow compared to what we're used to. And look at odd USD. I've been trying to play with odd USD for a while. I mean, I've been trading odd USD, but it's so slow. Like it's super slow to the point where you can't even do anything. And so the thing is, this is New York session. So you're expecting this to actually move. And this thing is moving like, man, it's moving like 10 pips, which is nothing. Super, super slow for Forex. Diddy Matty. Did you see that on on YouTube? Oh, damn. Yeah, so if you guys have been following a lot of other not YouTube traders, but just traders in general, it's a lot of people struggle during the summer. There was a V1 variation that just came up right here, guys. Not one I would take because there's no bias, but if there was a bias here, there's a V1 variation. It's double body rejection right there. Pending sell signal. I mean, it's still technically running. I wouldn't have taken it because there's no bias. In order for you to take a V1 variation, you need to have a bias. So I just wanted to point that out if you guys are looking for V1s. It's a V1 pattern, but not a V1 variation because there just is no bias right now. If there was a bias, then, great, but there isn't. So the summer market teaches a lot of people discipline and consistency. I mean, that's already what I push forward to. But the summer is really going to force you to be really disciplined because you're going to have a lot of temptations to like take shortcuts, and you're going to get burnt a lot of those times. So just make sure that you guys are waiting for, proper setups to come up. Like for this right here, this could have been, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would have identified this as a V1 variation, like I mentioned, but it's not really a V1 variation because there's no bias. I can go ahead and take a look at the bias again. Retail sentiment is 53% short, so it's still neutral. The fundamentals over here are still pretty much flat, so they're neutral as well. Technicals over here flat on the long term. Technicals over here on the short term also flat. So still there's no overall bias. So you can see right here, this is where you get smacked, right? with this trade. I think the trade still would have hit TP, but if you held on to it or you got in late, you probably would have gotten stopped out. So right there, if you followed it properly and you got it out right away, you would have been proper because you would have gone for 100 pips. But what I see a lot of people do is they get greedy and they put no TP and they try to chase it. So if you guys do see an entry, make sure that you follow those TPs, especially right now, because this is not the type of market that you want to be sitting in long term. You're not really going to get much of a trending market unless you have some sort of news event. So for this week so far, we don't have any news events aside from we have crude oil tomorrow, but it's not high impact. I mean, sometimes it does affect the market, but not necessarily. Thursday, we have unemployment claims. I mean, Thursday might be a little busier compared to the other days. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Typically during the summer, the market makers and institutions, they still trade during high impact news events, but they don't trade like just throughout the day anymore. They kind of just sit out and then they just trade like a couple days a week. So yeah, we'll see how this ends up, playing through, but there's just no bias right now. Yeah, Shannon said she got bored with it. It's slow moving gold. Yeah. So Shannon said gold is also moving really slow. I saw a couple people too. So like I follow a lot of traders where I just, I'm familiar with a lot of traders because I've been in the space for so long. A lot of people have just been pulling out early. Like I've seen people who traded gold last night and they just pulled out for a small loss because they don't want to risk it, which is a smart move. They lose like maybe 200 pips versus losing like 2,000 pips, which is just, it's always an issue. It's always an issue determining, how much do you want to risk. Thanks, Maria. There's a new higher high right there. So I'm just gonna bring this in a little tighter, and you guys can see the range is still range. It's just a bit tighter. All right, so you can see price is now pushing up like this. It's just going back to, it looks like it's going back to opening price or somewhere around there. Where is opening price? Did I delete it? Okay, let me delete this. All right, the blue line right there is opening price. New higher high right there. Target price point is going to be opening price. If price does push up, this is going to be the target price point, blue line. We'll see if it actually makes it past the news price right here. See where it rejected off? Directly off the news price right there. So that's why I draw these horizontal lines, because they're just markers for you guys. If you guys look at where price is pushing, typically these horizontal lines will be the target price points. This is just news price, so I don't think this is super important. I think the really important area is going to be the opening price right there. So price does break past it. This is going to be target area. We'll see. Meanwhile, I'll just wait for this candle to close. Once it closes, I'll identify it as the new higher high. Here's a clean chart. I'm going to mark up over here as well. And then I do the same thing on this chart. Just got to reset it. Yeah, Shannon said the ranging is crazy. Yeah, it's not really doing anything. It's just back and forth. So this is how you know that you're entering the summer market. You guys can see the market is obviously different. It's not how it's been for the past couple of months. It's now just going back and forth. There's a big push right here. I don't understand why the push is really pushing. There's not too much news, unless it's like the unless it is the IBD TIPP economic optimism. But you can see over here that it was actually worse than expected. So I don't think this is really pushing it. I think that's just market manipulation right now. The news from that just passed right now at 7 o'clock was negative. So we'll see. And you guys can see, look where that big wick is. I'm pretty sure that's where open price is at, where it was earlier. There must be something up here that price is rejecting off. It might be off like some structure. Yeah, I can see it right here. So you guys can see the structure right here. This is from this morning. See where price was having trouble getting past over here. I'm gonna draw a line right there or a zone. And let's go back to current price. And that's exactly where it's rejecting from. So it's probably a structure that was identified on a higher time frame. It might even be liquidity. Not yet. Now, next level of liquidity is going to be up here. This is 2-hour liquidity. But yeah, it's basically where price is rejecting off. We'll just keep following it. I mean, this is a big push right here. So I think if price does come back down, it's going to retrace back to opening price. So if you get a V1 variation up here, it's probably going to pull back to opening price down there. If and when it does happen. I don't know when it'll happen, but eventually we'll see where that plays out. Anyways, here's the clean chart. I'm gonna mark up opening price right over there. It's actually not too far from opening price. I don't really know what's causing this movement right now. I'll try to find out. I'll look through the news real quick. But I don't have any idea what's really pushing price unless it's the news event that just came up. Other than that, I don't really see anything else here that's pushing price up. The PGA Tour has merged with Live. If you guys watch golf, these guys were like super, like we thought Live was going to be like the next big thing, but now they are merging. Yeah, Live probably made hella money off this because they basically just started to compete with PGA, and PGA is like, all right, we'll just merge because they don't want to compete anymore. I don't think this is this is probably not causing price to push up, but it is breaking news. I thought it was interesting that they are merging. Okay, there's a news event right here. It says SEC sues Coinbase over exchange and stocking programs. Stock price drops. I don't think this really affected US30 either. Coinbase isn't part of the US30 index. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see anything here necessarily causing that push to the upside. Unless you're just going for a stop loss hunt, they just hunted everybody that was up top. Okay, so check this out. Look where price came down to. This is where I mentioned, right? I said price comes back down, it's going to come back and retest opening price. And that's exactly where I went to. Right there. So the blue line is like really useful, guys. If you guys know how to use the opening price as like a marker for you guys, it could be a really strong tool. I don't want to tell you guys to trade back to open. You guys know that strategy that Rick used to apply back then, or other Rick. It's not a strategy that I'd recommend you guys to really follow, but you can use it as a confluence, you know, price going back to opening price. And that's why I have the blue line there. So just keep that in mind. Looks like price is just looking for another range around this area. Maria is asking if the 705 candle was a pivot scalp. I don't think there's any pivot scalps right now, Maria, because there's no overall bias. But let me see. You were asking about 705. I don't see anything at 705, but I do see one right here at 703. This might be the one that you were talking about, right, Maria? This here wouldn't be a pivot scalp to me, even if there was a bias, because the bias was actually bearish. So bias was bearish right here for the 1 minute time frame. The overall bias though was not there. So in order for you to take a pivot scalp, 1 minute pivot scalp, let me see if I can find it right here. Yeah, so you'd have to confirm overall bias. Overall bias for right now is currently neutral, so you wouldn't be able to go to the next step. So that, yeah, there wouldn't be a pivot scalp there. And even if there was, like this buy signal would have to be above. Like it'd have to be like somewhere above, like something like this, like above the pivots, or even this one right here. Like this would be a pivot scalp right here, Maria. Because I'm pretty sure price is bullish at this time. Now right there would fit CP. Yep, no problem, Maria. Yeah, as I mentioned, guys, it's just gonna take a lot of crap, did I delete that thing? Oh. Hoping I delete the there we go. Yeah, it's just a lot of patience because during the summer, you're not going to get an overall bias a lot. That's why we had to switch up the strategy a little bit because this criteria was just a little too strong for the summer market. So if you guys remember, that's why we came up with the SR rejection scalp because the criteria just wasn't able to be met, especially when the overall bias is just never there because the market was so slow. I wonder why these lines are so short. Yeah, I don't know what's this indicator. Usually this indicator goes across the entire chart, but it just cuts off here now. It's probably just for this asset. I think if I go to US30, it's gonna go across the screen. Yeah, but it's only for YM. Or no, there we go, it works now. So I don't see any SR rejection scalps right now. I mean, we would still need a bias, but not really too much of a bias right now. There's another V1 pattern right here setting up, but again, there's no bias. You guys can see there's a double body rejection right there. So this would technically be a V1 pattern, but not exactly a V1 variation because there is no bias right here. Yeah, Kenneth. So Kenneth identified this as a V1 too. Technically, it's a V1 pattern, but it's not a V1 variation because there's no bias for buy. I know some people like taking a strategy like this because prior we didn't have that criteria. The bias wasn't a criteria back then. It was just short-term bias, not necessarily overall. But as I mentioned, I wouldn't take a trade because I need to follow the criteria as it's made to be followed. Let me see if there's anything else here. Let's see, Williams said at 650, the lower high started a high-low scalp. Price breaking, closing past pivot 707. Only if bias would be bullish, didn't take it, but if we had a bullish bias, I would have taken it. What's your thoughts? So let's see, Williams talking about 650 over here. High-low scalp. 651. I don't see a high-low scalp here anywhere. William, let's see. Oh, it's 707. Okay, never mind. Sorry, I see what you're saying. So you're talking about this one right here, right? Yeah, I think your explanation was just a little confusing because you're like, it's too. All you need to say is the high-low scalp at 707. That was about it. Because if you said high-low scalp at 707, I could have looked at the 707 candle and I would have seen that it would have broken close past it. Yeah. So yes, if this here was, if the overall bias is bullish, then yes, this would be a high-low scalp. It looks like it'd be a perfect entry and it would have went straight to full TP right there. We just don't have a bias. So unfortunately, no entry. But yes, if you did have a bullish bias there, then that would be a proper entry. Yeah, like if you're ever looking at high-low scalps, just identify where the entry point is. Because if you just tell me where the entry point is, I can just look back. I'm like, okay, there's a high-low right there, or there's a high-low right there. Yeah, no problem. All right, let's take a look at the bias again. So it looks like the bias over here on the higher time frames are looking to be bullish. I mean, everything's starting to turn bullish now. So looking over here on the shorter time frames, it's actually bullish. So we now have a short-term bias. It's not very strong, but it is bullish. So looking over here on the 10-minute, 5-minute, and 1-minute time frames, it looks like that entry that Kenneth was looking at, the V1 variation, this could have possibly been an okay entry. Because the shorter time frames are now bullish. The higher time frames are somewhat bullish as well. So we can have some sort of bias now. The bias is a little bit bullish. It's more of a bullish neutral because Majority of the time frames here are bullish, except for the 1 hour and 30 minute. So the 1 minute's bullish, price is above the pivots, trend meter is green, pivots are angling up. Same with the 5 over here, same with the 10, same with the 4 hour. The only ones that are neutral right now are the 1 hour and 30 minute time frame. So with that said, I'm gonna go and make an update over here. Bullish, we'll just keep long-term neutral. It's still not very strong. The overall bias is still pretty neutral at the moment. Let's take a look at sentiment. Sentiment's even more neutral now. It's 52% long or 52% short. Fundamentals over here, still neutral, up 11 points. So it's still neutral to me. Overall, it's still neutral. Like the short-term bias or short-term technicals is not going to be strong enough for me to make a decision whether I want to trade in that direction or not. I need one of the higher levels over here to confirm that, the direction is going to be in that direction. It's just too risky, guys. As I mentioned, it's all about discipline and consistency during the summer, because like one trade could set you back pretty far if it's like an unnecessary mistake that you could have avoided. Yeah, my freaking eyes itchy. Okay, so with that said, we have some sort of bullish bias here. Let's see, CJ is asking, was that a high-low quick scalp at 652? A high-low quick scalp, let me see, 652. I think for the high-low quick scalp, you also need an overall bias, right, CJ? I can't remember. Let me put the criteria. I don't even remember what it was called, high-low quick scalp, right? So it's 652. Yeah, technically you could have, because like right here, and this is the one you're talking about, right? So you identify bullish or bearish momentum. You had a sell momentum there. Price was below the pivots. It was pretty much bearish for the most part. So bearish momentum, there was a high low right there. Identify top wick projection off the following candle. As soon as you saw the wick right there, confirm that it hasn't passed the candle, which it hasn't. You could have entered right there for a sell. Yeah, so that could have been considered a high-low quick scalp if you wanted to take it. I'm surprised that you mentioned that. I haven't heard anybody mention that in a long time, but yeah, it would be considered a high-low momentum scalp or a high-low quick scalp. There's actually two of them here. There was one right here too. So there's one right here. This one looks like it would have went straight to full TP, big candle. And then same with this one right here. Would have came up and went straight to TP as well. So yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, it's always interesting to see like certain people in the group like mention these old strategies that we haven't really applied. This strategy was very lucrative, but it's very risky. So I stopped applying it and I stopped teaching it because it's really easy for people to make mistakes for this strategy because it happens so quickly. But yeah, you're right, CJ. That was a good entry. Yeah, the V1 that Kenneth mentioned was also a V1 that came up here, not an actual V1 entry, but it was a V1 pattern. So double body right there, pending sell momentum. You guys took that for a short, full TP. But again, it's just a little too risky. Not necessarily one that I would personally be inclined to take. I'm just a conservative trader. You guys know how I trade. Like I only want to give you guys the highest quality trade. So if I see entries, I'll mark them up and show you where they're at. But if it's something that I wouldn't take myself, then I wouldn't necessarily tell you guys that, okay, it's a good entry. But it's just hard right now because there's no bias. If there was a bearish bias, then yeah, I would take sell V1s. Or if there was a bullish bias, I would take buy V1s. You can see that they're both hitting though, right? Like Kenneth identified the buy V1 right here. That was a full TP. Kenneth identified the sell V1 over here, also full TP. The thing with these types of markets is that if it continues to range, you can technically take V1s in both directions. You don't really need the bias anymore, but I'm not going to tell you guys to do that. That's for more of the advanced trader. So if you guys know what you're doing with the V1s, you can technically take V1s in both directions, because if price is ranging back and forth, then you can literally take V1s in both directions, right? So if price is doing this, you can take the V1 here, you can take the V1 here, you can take the V1 here. It's doable. It's doable and it's possible, but it's very risky. If you were to do that, I'd probably do with a smaller TP stop loss. Like I'd probably use like maybe a 10-20 instead of a 10-30, so that you can like, at least if you get screwed over, you cut your losses quick, rather than getting stuck in the position for a full, for a full loss, especially for a move like that, because it moves just too risky. Let's see, question from Aiden. Or Aiden's asking, what do you think about taking liquidity on the top of price if price comes back? Let me see. So kind of depends. For me, I would maybe take it if it did. So see how price is in a range right here? I'll just show you the range real quick. So price is in a bit of a range right here, which is not really a good look. Because I like when price is like in a tight range, but not a big range like this. So if price does this, goes up, gets close to it, pulls back, and then ranges right here, then yes, I would take it in that situation. Right? In this situation right here, I would take it. However, if price just keeps going back and forth, like where it's currently at right here, I wouldn't take it, because this is what might happen. Price will come up, touch it, and come back down. Come back and touch it and come back down. So it just depends on like how the setup looks like. This is where the market becomes a little more subjective for these liquidity pushes, because for one, you don't want this to happen. Like you don't want this type of entry, because if you get something like this, it'll fake out and then come right back down into the range. You definitely don't want that. You want something like this, price to push up, get close to it, range right here, and then break through. Like this is a type of setup that you want to look for. The other one is just too messy, because there's going to be a lot of fake outs in both directions. You guys can see how price is going sideways right here. So this is like the two different things that you might see. You'll see price push up a little bit, then pull back in, or then vice versa. Price will push down and pull back in right there. Because it's always just going to keep getting pulled back into this middle area. So you don't want to get caught in that fake out. I've just seen this pattern play out a lot of times, so I already know it's going to play out like that if this is the type of move that happens. These fake outs always play out. Like they're just, it's just, it's something that you don't want to get caught in. So if you were to take something like that, I would wait for it to just be like more of a squeeze. Like I wait for price to push up, or you can even pull down. So we'll pull down like this. Range right there, come up and then squeeze right here, like into a smaller range, and then finally break through. That's more of like what I'd look for. So we'll see. We got 30 minutes till 8, so we will see what happens then. Let me update this chart. It's like not showing the future time again. I hate when it does that. There we go. Let's see, question from Hussein. Hussein's asking, was it a high level momentum scalp at 715? Let me check. So this is the one that I did see right there, but it was bullish. So the short term technical was bullish, so that's why I wouldn't have taken it. I'm looking for a bias right now. That's the main thing I'm looking for right here. This would be where actually, so looking at where price is currently at, it's the same analysis as earlier. So if you remember earlier, Hussein, when I mentioned, I don't like when price kind of goes back and forth like this. If I have a high level momentum scalp like this right here, I want it to be a direct push. I don't want any green candles in between. See how price kind of comes down a little bit and then pulls back right here? It's the same thing that I mentioned earlier. I wouldn't take a trade like that. It takes too long for this to set up. I want something that happens right away. So you have a higher high, and I would want this to come down and then happen like right there, like maybe on this candle. Say this green candle was a red candle and it broke down below. Like imagine if these two candles weren't here. If these two candles weren't here and it was just this red, and that momentum, then I would have taken it. But this right here is just it's too much of a choppy move. It takes too long for it to get to this point. At this point, it's already overextended and it's due for retracement, right? So that's not one that I would take. Like for example, right here, I wouldn't take this one either. I mean, it's not an entry here, but I wouldn't have taken it if it was an entry. But yeah, this right here, if you're just going by let's see, so Hussein's asking, so there should be no opposite candle in between. I mean, there can be, if you're taking every single entry that comes up, Hussein, then yeah, this would be an entry that you would have followed, but not one that I would follow myself. For me, I like a straight direct push. It doesn't have to have, it could have like a green candle in between, but it would have to happen right away. Like it would have to be like, you get a sell momentum, like 2 or 3 candles right after versus just one. So like, it would be like red, red, and then entry would be right here, or it could be red, green, entry right here. So it doesn't matter if there's a green candle in between, it's just this thing took too long to hit. That might be another requirement that I'll add to it, because for me, I don't think it's like a requirement that I need to follow, because I think it's like common sense. You know, if your setup comes up and the entry doesn't happen right away, it's usually not a setup. It's kind of like a V1 variation. Like a V1 variation, you see a double body, and that's the entry already. Or you see a momentum scalp, it's like the entry that comes up right away. But yeah, no, thanks for mentioning that though, Hussein, because I might add that as a requirement. Because for me, it's common sense, but for a new trader or someone that doesn't know the strategy, it probably doesn't seem like something that's automatically identified. Yeah, if I see another entry here, I'll let you know, if it's a clean entry or not. I'm hoping we get at least one, but the way that the market's currently moving, it's hard to tell. Price is just ranging now between this area. I'll clean this up. This is liquidity. Here is the clean chart. Let me see if I can update the zone. Well, the zone's pretty much the same. There's just not much going on here. We'll see if there's a new higher high that produces right here. If there's a new higher high, then we'll just adjust this and you'll see how it's kind of shifted with the market. But this here is a clean chart. As you guys can see, it's not really much of a movement. It's a bit of a consolidation right here. Breakout, consolidation, breakout, consolidation. Next up, another breakout, back into consolidation. So this is what you guys should expect during the summer. You have a lot of consolidation, price will break out. Another area of consolidation, breakout, area of consolidation. It's going to be a lot of this right here. Consolidation, breakout, consolidation, breakout, consolidation. So like right here, price is now going to break out either back to the bottom right here, or it's going to break out above, and then consolidation. And this is why the SR rejection scalp strategy works well, because even if you're in consolidation, you can still look for entries here. So we'll see. I mean, we just got to play it by ear. It's not necessarily the time to like make any rash decisions like changing strategies and stuff. There's no need to change strategies. It just might be like this for this week. Next week could be busy because there's probably a lot more news events. Let's see. So today this week there's only a news event on Thursday. Next week is inflation week. So we actually have a lot of news events next week. And this is probably going to be, yes, you can see over here, next week we have a 10-year bond auction. We have CPI year over year, of course, CPI month over month. So we have inflation news next week. Wednesday, we have, it's basically Fed week next week, Fed week and inflation week. So we have core PPI, Fed economic projections, Fed statement, Fed funds rate, Thursday, unemployment claims, retail sales, etc. So next week might be a lot busier. This week's just a slow week for us. There's no news events. So a lot of market makers, institutions are just sitting out. It's officially not summer yet. So, I mean, technically the market is probably just slow for this week. We only have news on Thursday, that's why. So we'll see. So don't get too impatient with the market, guys. Like this just might be for this week because there's no news events aside from Thursday. Next week we have a lot of news events every day, so expect like a lot of the bigger players to be in the market still. Andrew's asking, do you remember which week you went over SR rejection in the mentoring session? It was either this most recent week. Well, I think we went over it yesterday, Andrew. So we went over it yesterday. Somebody asked about it. And then the week before that, Dejan asked about it too. So if you watch last week's, it was like towards the end of the session. And then yesterday, someone asked about it as well. So the last two mentoring sessions covered the SR rejection. Yeah, no problem, bro. It's all good. Curious to see how far prices move from here. You know, there's actually one entry right here. Just noticed that. There's one SR rejection scalp right here, I think. Yeah, there's a zone right here. Zone right there, price is bullish. It's kind of rejected off the structure. This is kind of similar to the snipe strategy. If you guys are familiar with the snipe strategy, that's like a lot of people's favorite. It's just done in a lower time frame. There's one that just came up right here, Andrew. That's our rejection scalp. There's a zone right there. This candle rejected directly off it. It was a moderate green candle. Played out perfect. So as you guys can see, I have a lot of strategies here that work. It's just up to it's up to you guys to figure out which one works best for you guys. We have another higher high right here. So it looks like this zone has just adjusted slightly. Price already broken close past the pivots though. So actually, okay. So Hussein, I'm looking back at this entry over here. I don't think this was an entry for a sell. So let me just show you real quick. The reason for that is because this green candle is already, or actually, no, I take that back. I thought the green candle broke and closed past the pivots 1 and 2, but it was only pivot 1 here. So no, this would still be an entry. Why did it pull back? Yeah, pull back pretty far. All right, this market sucks. Let's see what we can find here. Okay, it looks like the bias here is still slightly bullish, but it's not very strong. The short-term time frames over here are still bullish. You can see prices above the pivots. Trend meter is green. Pivots are angling up. The 1 minute over here is starting to cut in though. So you can see here on the 1 minute, that price is starting to drop below the pivots. And if that's the case, it'll turn neutral. But it's not really having it's not really able to do it as smoothly as we'd like, of course. Hey Glenn, how's it going? Morning. Glenn's asking how it's trading today. Just got in. It's been slow, like real slow. There's just not any opportunities today. Aside from the liquidity push, we took the liquidity push this morning, Glenn, and that was the only thing that we took. But other than that, there hasn't been anything else that's come up. All right, Van Harwood, we'll see you back here tomorrow. Johnny said V1 variation at 732. Check. Yeah, another V1 variation there. Not like an actual V1 variation, but a V1 pattern again, like we mentioned. So still no bias right now. If there was a bearish bias, then yeah, that would be a V1 variation. I mean, it's still a hit, but this goes back to what I was saying earlier. So if you guys remember earlier, I was mentioning that these V1 variations, if the market continues to range like this, you can technically take them in both directions. So, I mean, it's just really up to risk. If you guys want to take risky trades, and you can take V1 variations in both directions. It seems like they're both working perfectly fine. It's just, you know, they're going to work until they don't. And you just got to understand that there's risk involved with taking the V1s. It's not going to be a guaranteed hit every time. So if you guys do take the V1 variations, I probably would take it with a smaller TP stop loss. I'd probably use a 1020 instead of a 1030, because you want to cut yourself short in case it doesn't go in your direction. Or you could even do like a 1015. I think a 1010 would be too tight. I think a 1015 might be okay though. You just need a little bit of space because of the spread. Like if you guys remember this morning, the spread was crazy. Like that spread almost like gave me like negative profit on the TP. So you guys need to be cognizant of the spread, because if you guys are going in with a small stop loss and the spread is super wide, you're gonna like automatically hit your stop loss as soon as you enter the trade. So yeah, the market's too slow. There's just not much for us to do here. But yeah, if you guys want to keep looking for those V1 variations, we'll follow them. I'll look for them as well, but I'm not going to be taking them myself. Not unless I feel that it's like very, very it's very probable position, or if I feel confident about it. Yeah, Satyam said, yeah, it's taking out all the buyers and sellers, so be very careful. Honestly, I suggest do not take any trades. I'm out with 2 wins. Nice, Satyam. Yeah, unless you guys see something really good, then don't take it, guys, because you guys can see from this market, there's no direction. So if you get caught in this position, like say, for example, you get a V1 and then you're stuck in it, you go sideways for like 10 minutes, you're going to be super stressed out because you're going to regret taking the trade. It's not that it's a bad trade. It's just that you're going to be stuck in that position for longer than you want to, because these V1s hit pretty quickly. So if they don't hit right away, you're going to be trapped in that position for like maybe, 10, 20 minutes. All right, we got a new lower low here. So as you guys can see, the range is getting really tight. So there goes the range right there. Super tight. Go and make some adjustments over here. So there goes the range. There's a clean chart. So you guys can see it's been doing this for a long time. There's a range down here. It ranged for about like 30 minutes, pushed up here. It's been ranging for about 30 minutes. As price starts to squeeze tighter and tighter, it's just preparing for a breakout. So what you can expect here is price will break out in either direction. And then it'll go back into a range. And this is typical. It's nothing different here. So see. We'll see where this market takes us. Let's see, Maddie said in between pivots right now, it could go either way. Yeah, I agree, Maddie. Not really too much here, it's like right in between. There's no bias, so it's kind of hard. Yeah, Sayyid said this is horrible, LOL. It is. I mean, this is what really tests your patience. So if you guys are not good with like your discipline and consistency, this is going to teach you discipline, because you're going to see a lot of entries where you want to take them, but there's no direction. So like if you do win a trade here, you're probably gonna be based off luck, because as long as you had a bias, you can take, like, say for example, we had a bearish bias, right? You can take a sell here, and as long as your stop loss is wide enough, eventually it's going to come and hit your TP. It can pull back like pretty far, but eventually it'll come back down and hit your TP, right? Same with the bullish bias. If you had a bullish bias here, you can take a trade within this range. It's probably going to take a while to hit, but eventually, it'll probably pull back a little bit, bounce back, hit your TP. But right now there's no bias, so you don't really know which direction price is going to go. It can really go in either direction. So let's do another review real quick. Let's look at the fundamentals. You can see over here, the fundamentals are almost zero. It's at 2 points. So it's like literally nowhere. It's like completely flat. Typically it'll be like above or below 100 points. Right now it's at zero for the most part. Retail sentiment over here, you can see the number here starts to get smaller and smaller. From the beginning of the session, the retail sentiment was about like 56%. It's now down to 52%. So you can see here that a lot of retail traders are actually pulling out of the positions. They feel the same way we do right now. They don't want to be scared in the market, so they're just pulling out. So with them pulling out, there's no real direction where market makers will push, because they can't really stop anybody out if nobody's in the market. right? All right, Maddie, we'll see you back here tomorrow. Let's see. See, John said took a buy push for 7 points, met my daily goal in half of tomorrow's. I think I'm good. I'm done for the day. Have a work meeting tomorrow. Have a work meeting tomorrow, and we'll be out of town. All right, John. If that's the case, we'll see you back here on Thursday. All right, here goes a breakout, guys. Price just broke out to the upside. So you guys can see here that a lot of this stuff is uncalled for. It's just there's liquidity right there that got hit. Not sure if you took that 8, and I know this is one that you were talking about, but the liquidity right there got hit and it blasted right through. It looks like it's just a stop loss hunt. This is a 2-hour liquidity. You guys can see the lick right there. It says 2-hour liquidity. So the 2-hour liquidity right here got hit, blasted right through. I wouldn't have taken it. Movement's crazy. Yeah, and it said I didn't, crazy movement. I wouldn't take it either. But yeah, it's you guys can see the liquidity still works. So who's saying, like you were asking earlier, if the liquidity will still work in the summer. You can see here it obviously still works. It's just a little riskier because there's no movement. You'll see a lot of flatness, and then all of a sudden just blast right through. Just went through a straight stop loss hunt. So it seems like a lot of stop losses are probably just sitting right here. Like whoever was chasing the sell, a lot of stop losses sitting here. Whoever was trading on the 2-hour time frame, because this was 2-hour liquidity. So 2-hour liquidity is right here. Basically, whoever's trading on the 2-hour time frame or 1-hour time frame or even 4-hour, this is where their stop loss was sitting, and it just went for a stop loss hunt. It pretty much grabbed everybody's stop losses and then shot up. I'm not going to count it, but you know, I just want to show you guys the liquidity still works here. That's crazy. So Andrew said put a pending order right there and got some crazy slippage, made 1,200 on that. Yeah. That's crazy. So some more profits over here. Here's Patricia. She said not on the live today, but still trading. Total profit of 3,032 for the day. Nice work, Patricia. All wins. So Patricia right there did pretty well. Total profit of 3,000 for the day. We have Zach over here. He said feeling too risky, so he's out. Total profit of 1,328 for the day. All wins. So Zach's been on fire. Straight wins every day since he rejoined the group. He rejoined like about a week ago. I think last week he made like 3,000. On the first, he made 3,000. Yesterday, he made 3,000. Today, he made 1,300. So great work right there, Zach. Some more profits here from Esta. Total profit of 157 on his first account. Second account, total profit of 2,280. Nice work right there. So he took the V1 variation or the V1 setup that he saw right there. We got Nathan over here. Yeah, so Nathan said, down, let's try to go for a second liquidity, but it alerted me, didn't have enough money when he closed it. Yeah, and then he revenge traded. It's all good. Yeah, so unfortunately over here, Nathan took the first trade. He got full TP on that first liquidity push, and then he tried to take the second level over here, lost, and then he revenge traded. So he's just going to call it a day. It's all good, Nathan. I mean, it happens. So guys, just keep that in mind. You know, like I mentioned earlier, it's all about discipline and consistency. If Nathan would have just avoided the second trade and just took that first trade, he would have had profit today. But he wanted to take a second liquidity, take a loss right there, and then he also revenge traded right here. So it's all good. And you know what happens. Andy over here, total profit of 249 for the day. Had a small loss right there. Looks like that might have been an accident for Andy, but for the most part, profit right there at 249 for the day. Nice work, Andy. See if there's any more over here real quick. I think except for those profits right there. Let's see, we got, let's see, Maria over here said, hey, how did that happen, Maria? She said she had a full TP with negative 15. Yeah, so it looks like Maria here got caught with some pretty bad slippage. So let's see, her entry time was, okay. Her entry price was 33,612. Yeah, the slippage got you pretty bad, Maria, it looks like. Because your TP, you took a buy and your TP is actually lower than your, did you use a quick trade manager, Maria? I mean, it looks like your slippage has got you really bad because the thing is your entry was right here at 612 and you got out at 607. So I'm assuming it hit your TP and it spiked down like really hard. Like that slippage is pretty crazy for this right here. Okay, she used the DOM. So she used the death from market tool. Yeah, it looks like slippage just got you right there, Maria, unfortunately. Because it looks like, yeah, right here, your entry point was 612, then you got out at 607 with the green strip. I don't know how that even happened, but it looks like it triggered it and then it just slumped down like super heavily. So yeah, I know it sucks. I hate when that happens too. Unfortunately, you can't do anything about it. It's all good, Maria. We'll get that back on your next trade. All right, looks like Andrew's done. Andrew took that trade and he called it a day quick. Yeah, so he came back, locked in a total profit of 630. I don't think he posted that last trade that he just took, but he took that trade and then he just logged off for the day. He was done. So, all right, Andrew, we'll see you back here tomorrow. All right, guys, if there's any questions that you guys have, we're at the end of the session. It's about 7:52 right now. So if there's anything that you guys want me to cover, I'll answer your questions now. Unfortunately, today there just wasn't any bias. We did have a liquidity push on open, but other than that, we pretty much, I mean, that's pretty much it for the day. Just took this liquidity push. I made decent amount of profit, about half profit across all my accounts, but you know, a win's a win at this point. Especially with this type of market, you don't want to take anything unnecessary. So if you don't have to risk anything that's, you know, out of your control, then I would just sit out. Right now, there's just nothing for us to take. There weren't really any high-low momentum scalps today. I mean, there was a couple that me and Hussein kind of identified. There was only like one that we saw there, but not one that I would necessarily take. There was two liquidity pushes that came up, the one on open, the one right here that didn't play out. This is what Nathan got caught in. And then this one up here that I didn't take. So I didn't take this one or this one. I only took the one on open. And that was pretty much it. Yeah, no problem saying so thanks, Sean. This was a very informative trading session. Yeah, I'll try to, you know, give you guys as much knowledge as we progress. I know a lot of you guys haven't traded throughout all the season. So I think during the summer, this is going to be very helpful for you guys to be on these live sessions because I'll be able to analyze and show you guys what the market will look like during the summer. You know, there's just a lot of different things to look at. The market's always changing. The thing is, I've been trading for so long that I'm able to adapt with it pretty quickly. Yeah, Maria said, see you tomorrow. Hope FTMO looks to another one tomorrow. I know, hopefully it looks better tomorrow, Maria, with no slippage. Yeah, Maria said if she stays here, she'll be in revenge mood. So don't even bother, Maria. You're only down $15. So $15 can be made back easily. So it's better to just call it a day, come back tomorrow fresh in a better mindset so that you don't have to revenge trade or take anything bad. Let's see. Satyam said, now I'm done. Thanks, guys. That top liquidity was a gift. Yeah, good thing that you were able to take that. And Glenn said, do you think June's going to be a crappy month? I don't think so. Glenn, I think maybe just this week. We have news on Thursday, and the next week is full of news. So I think there's going to be volatility next week. As we go into summer, the market is going to slow down a bit. As you can see here, this is a clear example of what the market will look like as we progress through the summer. You're going to get a lot of this type of movement right here, Glenn. So you're going to get a lot of consolidation. Let me just take these off. So during the summer, you're going to get a lot of this type of movement: consolidation, breakout, consolidation, breakout, consolidation. What do you think is happening right here? Breakout. And what do you think is going to happen right here? Consolidation, right? It's the same thing. It's the same pattern over and over again. Consolidation, breakout, consolidation, breakout, consolidation, breakout, consolidation. And this is probably going to go sideways until we get another breakout, right? It's either going to break back into this area, consolidation, or it's going to break into a new area up here for some more consolidation. So it's just the same pattern, guys. Like, you know, I've been trading for so long. I've seen these patterns every summer. It's not like this thing's something new to me. It's not like this is something that's never happened. This happens every summer. So I think the rest of the month of June, I don't think it's going to be like this forever. It's just going to be like this maybe for this week. And then next week we have news like every day. It's inflation week and Fed week. So I think price is going to start moving again next week. And then after that, it might slow down a bit. Let's see. Johnny said V1 pattern half push at 752. Nice. Yeah, so Johnny took a V1 right over here. It looks like that's a full TP right there. Nice work, Johnny. Yeah, so you guys are killing it. These V1s here are working pretty well. I mean, a V1 is a good strategy for you know, sideways market as well. So maybe we'll start incorporating that into our entries. We'll see how the market moves tomorrow. If we need to incorporate another strategy like the V1 variation, then we can do that. If we need to incorporate the SR rejection, we can incorporate that too. You know, we'll just play it by ear, guys. We don't have to like make any drastic changes right now. It just depends on how the market is moving, and we need to determine whether we need to make adjustments or whether we just stick to our same game plan. Because what we're doing now works. It's just there's not as many entries. Let's see, CJ said he got cut short from that first liquidity push, but he'll start fresh tomorrow. So much for passing my second challenge in 4 days. It's all good, CJ. You got another day to reach that goal. So, all right, guys, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out. You guys can message me on Telegram, or you guys can email me, Sean@KodiKaiTrades.com. Again, if you guys are new here and you guys want access to the strategies that we just covered, just go to our website, KodiKaiTrades.com, click on unlock your free access right here. It'll give you access to this course, which will provide pretty much every strategy that I've taught to you guys over the past 7 years now. I have over 30 strategies here. It's just really figuring out what works for you and focusing on that one strategy. Also, if you guys are not part of the YouTube, I go live every day, Monday through Friday. I go live twice a day on Mondays, usually for the mentoring session. So if you guys want to rewatch that, just go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/KodiKaiTrades, click on subscribe and turn on notifications, and YouTube will email you whenever I go live. So, all right, guys, I think that's it for right now. If there's any other questions, let's see, one question from Glenn here. Glenn's asking, do you think 716 candle is a good entry for a buy? No, because there's no bias. So I wouldn't take any buys there unless there's a bias, Glenn. Just because there's a rejection doesn't necessarily mean it's a good point of entry. You would typically need some sort of bias. So for just today, we had no bias. That's why I didn't take any of the V1s in any direction or any of the other types of entries like a momentum scalp that could have been considered here, like what Maria mentioned actually during the live session. So, all right, guys, I think that's it for now. If you guys have any other questions, reach out. Otherwise, I will see you guys. One last profit from Johnny. Total profit of 400 for the day. Nice work, Johnny. And I think that's about it. Let me see if there's anything else here. I think that's it. All right, guys. So now for real, we are done for the day. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day, guys, and we'll be back